Hariom everyone, welcome to this class on Kathopnishad. We'll start with the chanting first. I'll chant at my end. You can chant at yours. Shanti Path. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai Om Shanti 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 Om Gananam Tva Ganapatigam Havamahe Kavim Kavinamupamashravastamam Jeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspata Ana Shrinvannuti Siddh Sadhanam Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurureva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So we are into this next class on Kathopnishad, where we are looking at the second chapter, the third Valli, Dvitiya Adhyay, Dvitiya Valli, second chapter, part 3. So this is our 29th class, this sequence. We are approaching the end of this portion. Uh, so after that, one more topic. Sorry, Dvitiya Adhyay, Dvitiya Valli, third will come up after this. So we have seen up to the 13th verse earlier. Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam Ego Bahunam Yogadadhati Kama Tamatmastam Yenan Pashyati Dhiraha Tesham Shanti Shashwati Na Itaresham. So, वो चेतन, that consciousness which is Nityo का भी नित्य, नित्य which is the eternal among eternals. So, those which are like relatively eternal, and एक वो बहुनाम, it itself is responsible for manifesting the many. Yo vidadhati kaman, also the beholder of our fruits, the fruits of our action. Tam atmastam. So whoever holds on to this, whoever internalizes this knowledge about the Atma, ye dhiraha, the one who is intelligent, viveki, jnani, anupashyanti, tesham shanti, shashwati. They get this limitless or continuous or never-ending peace, or na itaresham, not those who are not followers of this path. So next we are looking at this next verse. Tadetaditi manyate nirdesham paramam sukham katham nu tadvijaniyam imu bhati vibhati va tadetaditi manyate nirdesham paramam sukham katham nu tadvijaniyam kimu bhati vibhati va kimu bhati vibhati va. So this Atma, this which is now meditated upon, tat etat iti manyante, that Atma is the one I'm searching for. This is the one I've been looking for. Tat etat iti manyante. The sages meditate upon it and perceive it internally. But what is its form? Anirdeshyam. Desham, and of the nature of Paramam Sukham. So Anirdeshyam, it is indescribable. It cannot be put into words. Why? Because it is the subject itself. It is not the object. And katham nu tat vijaniyat. How shall I know that? Kimu bhati vibhati va. Does it shine of itself? Does it get indicated by its own light, or does it shine by some other light? So that is the question. This is the next question of Nachiketas. Nachiketas has said that you have described to me the Atma. I want to know, how do I know that? What is the method of knowing that? So the etat iti manyate, that is the one that has been described by the sages. So this Atma, I want to know. And when I talk about this Atma, then I have to remember always that this Paramatma is uh, the original consciousness and the consciousness that pervades everything in the creation. But where does our attention go? हमारा ध्यान कहाँ चला जाता है? We keep watching the reflection, the shadow in our intellect, the shadow in our intellect of the, but not the original Paramatma, whose reflection it is. So that is the way where we have to turn our attention to, right? So when we do Viveka about our intellect, when we analyze the right and wrong, the truth or the reality of our of this consciousness with our intellect and mind, then we can know that it is the sakshi only, the original consciousness only, which is reflecting. And if we have, and if we are unable to do that, that if we haven't done that, then this inability will give us pain, right? It will give us pain and endless cycles of samsara. We keep running back here, right? So the person who has known that he is not at all disturbed. There was a story about a Mahatma. He was stung by a snake. Hmm. So then the people of the ashram, they collected together. "Oh, Mahatma ji ko kuch ho gaya." They were all very worried. So they came together. Then one person was there. He said, "I know how to treat a snake bite." So he came close. He took out the, he tied the area with a rope and or a split, and then he sucked that poison out. And then after some time, he gave him some milk, and then ultimately, after some time, the Swamiji regained consciousness. So he said, Swamiji, do you recognize me? So I got the snake bite out of you. So Swamiji said, yes, yes, I know you. And I also know that snake. And for me, both are same. So he felt a bit offended. Are you comparing me to a snake? He said, no, 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 no. No, that is not what I mean to say. What I mean is, for me, all the beings in creation are same. So he is not affected by the dukkha of the snake bite or the sukha of his life being saved. No udveg and no disturbance, no up and down. So the desires, they stop us from experiencing this joy. We don't have yet this joy. So once we reach that state, once we reach that state, it is an eternal thing. It's not something you show from outside. बाहर से दिखाने से नहीं होगा, अंदर होना पड़ेगा. So once they cease, the joy flows freely. It flows very, 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 very effortlessly, you can say. Because worldly joy, it depends upon desire fulfillment. But the highest joy comes from ending all desires. So this state comes when the self is known, right? When the self is known. So that self-effulgent self, when it is known, then we are able to internalize this knowledge and we are able to apply it to attaining that joy which is never going to end. And this joy is the one that is about which the question is being asked, because this mantra we saw, it is in the form of a question. Katham nu tad vijaniyam kimu bhati vibhati va. So we can assume that it is a question from Nachiketas, or we can also assume that it is from Yamadharmaraja himself. He is raising the question and answering it. But for now, I think it's more interesting to keep it this way. The most of the commentators, they say that it is by Nachiketas. So that anirdeshyam paramam sukham, that undescribable paramam sukham, that ananda, that highest joy, it is the highest joy possible. Paramam sukham. So it is the highest ananda. And what type of sukham? Anirdeshyam. So we said, which is inexplicable, indescribable. So that Brahmanand or Atmanand is considered to be superlative, the highest, which is not describable or explicable. No, something is there that is in the what we say, the minimum state or in the intermediate state. So those we can describe, but the highest has now no point from which you can compare it. So therefore, the wise people refer it to something that is intimately available to them. Etat iti manyante. Inside they have experienced it, and not as an object, but as something intimately available. So available for whom? Available for themselves. So tat anirdeshyam paramam sukham. That superlative, inexplicable ananda. Some wise people refer to etad iti manyate. So it's not some remote concept, कुछ दूर से आ जाएगा, हमें मिल जाएगा, not something that we'll get, but as something intimately available to them. So this is how wise people refer to this Brahmanand. And Nachiketas asks, Katham nu tad vijaniyam? How can I know that Ananda? I have heard it is the highest. How can I know it, or how can I make it available for my experience? मुझे कैसे मिल जाएगा? मुझे भी चाहिए, है ना? So I'll tell a story about this, but we'll finish this. So how can I make paroksh jnanam into aparoksh jnanam, something that is outside into my own knowledge? So kimu bhati, kimu bhati, is it available? Is it experienceable? Bhati is something that has a light. So light, something that has a light, you can see. You don't need something else to see it. So even if it is a small lamp, you can see it by its own light, right? But other things, you need to bring a light. So even if it is the sun, if it's a big floodlight, or if it's a small lamp, anything self-illuminating, you can see. So you don't need outside. So kimu bhati. So is this something that is closely available, or is it distant, or kim vibhati va? Is it distinctly available or perceptible? Visheshena bhati va. So therefore, this is the crucial question it is being asked. So we'll just take up a small story. Don't get disturbed uh, by the what we call incongruence. Go for the message in that. So there was once upon a time. Before we get into this, just an indication that whenever we go out into the world, there are two kinds of joy. One is Vishay Anand, the objects that we enjoy, right? And the second is this Brahmanand, which is objectless joy, something that is not limited by time, space, object, something that is infinite, something that doesn't have a starting or ending point, or does not have any kind of limitation. So that joy. So that Brahmanand is, it cannot be pointed out as something extra to me, yeah? Some as an object that I can be experienced. वो विषय नहीं हो सकता है ना? It is, and it is ours only. हमारा ही है, कोई दे नहीं सकता हमें. Someone cannot say that my Guruji gave it to me, so I got Atmagyanam or something. So that Ananda is my own nature. So कोई बाहर से नहीं दे सकता. So once upon a time there was a Rajkumar, a prince. He was very much pampered by the king, and he used to therefore go out and have a lot of fun with his friends, and they used to do all kinds of things. So they got into some kind of, we can say, bad habits. So they started to go to this place where the women were there, dancing women and all, and they went to watch them. And then when they went there, started going there, the Rajkumar, he liked it a bit because his friends wanted to go, but he didn't like it that much. He just wanted the company of his friends, so he went along with them. So therefore, they all had a good time over there. So then ultimately, his friends were a bit of the naughty kind. They were always looking for ways to do something what we call uh, immoral or whatever. So now when slowly sometime later, when his father also learned about this thing, he said, I think I'll marry him off. So and a match was arranged, and a very, very beautiful girl was found. She was the princess of another nearby kingdom. And then they arranged for the marriage, and the princess agreed. And in those days, when the agreement is done, both sides, they say that's done. So the girl also accepts that this person will be my husband. So till now, these two have not met. So when then what happened is, their family some way learned that this prince, he used to go to that place. So they were a bit upset. So when they were a bit upset, then they called their Guruji. They asked him, what should we do in this case? So he said, look, this is very disturbing. If this is something that he does, then it might occur in the future also. So you have to do something which is going to shock you, but you have to go along with. So he said, what? He said, you will have to send your daughter also over there for a few days. So she will go there, she will just cover her face, and she will sing only, and she will say, I will do nothing else. And for a few days, along with a few of your bodyguards, they will always be there to look after her. So they were very, very disturbed. They said, what is Guruji saying? But ultimately they agreed. So when they agreed, then she was there, and this prince and his friends, they heard that someone new had come, and they dragged him along. She's very, very beautiful. And also then they went and heard her singing, and then they asked her that, yes, who would you like to go with? So she said, I will go with no one. Uh, I will go with only one person, and one person whom I like, and no one else. And that person must have the give me the promise that I will be also the only one in his life. There will be no other. So the prince, when he went there, he saw her. He was very, very enamored, but he didn't know as yet exactly about the marriage. So he said, "Okay, I want to marry," and he agreed. So ultimately, he agreed, and the marriage happened. It was already she was selected only. She was supposed to be, but it was done in such a way that no bad name was given to anyone. The prince would also not be going to those places again. So here the story is a symbolic one. What does it simplify? The We use a crude word for that, Veshya, for that woman. So Veshya is Vishay. All the Vishayas. The Vishayas, they don't belong to anyone. They don't belong to anyone, can enjoy them, anyone can attain them, anyone can throw them away. They have no value. Right? So they are that. But the most beautiful is what? The most joyous is the Brahma Vidya. So the wife is Brahma Vidya. She is the highest knowledge. So wife is Brahma Vidya. So, but Brahma Vidya is not an object. It is not an object. But why? Because it is not an object, because it is your only. It's yours only. Not something that you don't possess. Already you possess it. So he already possessed his wife. They were already supposed to be married. But then it is presented as an object. So Brahma Vidya is presented as in the form of Aham Brahmasmi, something that I have to think of as a thought in my mind. मुझे भी विषय बनाना पड़ेगा. So I make the Brahma Vidya also a Vishay. But ultimately, when I learn it is my true nature, I drop the feeling of it being a Vishay. फिर वो विषय नहीं रह जाता. Then only the Brahma Vidya remains. Nothing else remains. No one else will come. So once I do Varanam, once I select Brahma Vidya, then nothing else is needed in my life. Right? She is so beautiful. So this is the way we have to approach Brahma Vidya. When we have to let go, we have to promise not to hold on to any of the Vishayas, only of the sense objects, sense organs, and all. So then we go to the one of the most beautiful mantras in this Upanishad. It is used, it is there in other Upanishads also. It is used everywhere. I will explain. Na tatra suryo bhati na chandra tarakam nema vidyuto bhanti kutoyam agnihi tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam tasya bhasa sarvam idam vibhati. गीता जी क्या करते हैं इससे? आरती, है ना? So this is used whenever we do Deeparadhanam, any kind of light we use. So this is the verse that is used, and it is a very, very popular verse. It is also there in Mundak Upanishad also, to 10, I think 10 or 11 in Mundak Upanishad, and it's in its similar forms. It is there in a lot of the other Upanishads and also in the Mahabharata. Right? So what is the meaning of this word? Na tatra Surya Bhati. So now this conscious, this Ananda that he's talking about, which Nachiketas has asked about, this is in what form? This Ananda, Na tatra Surya Bhati. When I'm going to, he wants to know that Ananda. So when he wants to know, then what does he say? Yamaraja says, Na tatra Surya Bhati. Where that knowledge is, where that Ananda is, the sun does not shine. The sun does not shine means sun cannot illuminate it. Surya usko prakashit nahi kar sakta. Na chandra tarakam. So what the moon and the stars also cannot illuminate. Anyway, their light is less than that of the sun. And na ima vidyutah bhati. So nema vidyuto bhati. Na ima vidyutah bhanti. So even the lightning flashes will not illuminate that. The lightning is very strong flashes. Then kutoya ayam agnihi. So how can that small worldly fire in the kitchen illuminate that? Tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam. When that consciousness shines, he alone shines, and after that it illuminates everything else. Tasya bhasa sarvam idam vibhati. By his light, all of these shine. Right. So this consciousness, which is the substratum of everything, or you can say this ananda, because they are inseparable. So this this we see very very important verse. The question of Nachiketas was what? How to experience this Brahmanand? How to accomplish this Brahmanand? The answer Yamadharmaraja wants to give is Brahmanand is never an object of experience. So Brahmanand can never be attained in the form of a particular experience. Because the moment you reduce Brahmanand into a specific form of experience, whether ordinary or extraordinary, you are limiting that Brahmananda to time, space, condition, right? So the moment you reduce this Ananda into a form of experience, जिसे मैं भोग कर लूं, मैं देख लूं, something that I can experience, something that I can enjoy, whether ordinary or extraordinary, it becomes limited by time, space, condition. No, sometimes people go into meditation. I saw this wonderful vision, so wonderful light. So that light is not the light you are looking for. With what you are looking at that light is the thing you are looking for. जिससे आप उस light को देख रहे हो. Because every experience is in an event in time. Therefore, we say all experiential pleasures come under Vishaya Anand only. I spoke about meditation, that is a higher one, but apply it to the other simpler things also. First, so they are the ones we have to overcome. No? So therefore, Brahmanand cannot be confined to any other form of experience, right? And Yamadharmaraja gives answer that Brahmanand is not a time-bound experience. It is of the nature of Chaitanyam itself, nature of consciousness itself. So when I say Brahmanand and consciousness, the word Ananda should be translated as Anantaha. Anantaha Brahmananda, equal to that is equal to Brahman, the Ananta, the limitless principle. How do you relate that? How do you compare that? Because Anantaha means infinite. Infinite means nothing is outside of me. If nothing is outside of me, we saw earlier also, then I don't need to attain anything, right? Normally, how do I attain joy in this world? There is an object outside of me. I want to enjoy it. So I work for it. I attain it. Then I enjoy it. So that is a limited joy, because it will be available the moment I become one with the object and again go away when the object goes away, right? But when I am limitless, when I am infinite, then nothing is outside of me, or everything belongs to me only, nothing different from me. So I don't want my hand, I don't want my eyes, they're already there, right? So whenever anything that is given to us, no, wherever we have this any desire for things, then we aim for that, strive for that, but we also fear losing it. So when fear is there, then enjoyment cannot be full, right? And also we have to remember that a lot of things Lord has already given us. So all this body, this mind, this sense organs, all of them are already given to us. We should be thankful that we have been given. So I had a problem with my hearing. My ear was blocked, and I went to the doctor, got some treatment. In that time, I was feeling so desperate that I couldn't listen to any good pravachanam. I couldn't, someone talking to me, I had to strain my ear. So we don't realize the value of what we have got. Then suddenly, when the ear popped and when it was cleared and I could listen, I was so thankful that finally it is something that I already have, always had. And then I'm not thankful enough that I have. So many things we have already, Lord has given us, but we forget to thank the Lord. So we should thank. So I thank so many times profusely for Lord for helping me, for giving it back to me. So many things we have. But still, all these are Vishaya all these are limited Anand. But what is that Ananda? The highest Ananda, the wisdom. So it is not an experience that is going to come or that is going to disappear in time. It is because this Brahmanand is the very I, the Atma, which exists before experiencing. It is during the presence of all experiences and it continues to be there even after the experiences go away. So Brahmanand is not a specific experience, but it is the consciousness which is the substratum of all experiences. So when is this Brahmanand available? If it is understood as consciousness, you should not answer. You should ask the counter question. When is it not available? Because it is always available, right? So therefore, Brahmanand is the ever experienced by everyone as I, the consciousness principle. So Brahmanand in the form of consciousness is ever experienced by all in the form of I, the consciousness principle. And therefore, to define Brahmanand, Yamadharmaraja defines consciousness itself. Why? Because consciousness illuminates everything. बिना consciousness के कुछ भी जाना नहीं जा सकता. So शिल्पा जी आप कुछ पूछ रहे हैं, यू आर आस्किंग समथिंग.
हाँ हाँ जी. हाउ डू यू
जी
कम टू नो कि ब्रह्मानंद है? हाउ डू यू एक्सपीरियंस इट? कैसे पता चलता है? कॉन्शियसनेस कैसे जागृत करें फिर?
हाँ, कुछ जागृत करने की जरूरत नहीं है. यू जस्ट हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट व्हेनेवर आई एम डूइंग एनी एक्ट ऑफ परसेप्शन, जब भी मैं कुछ जान रहा हूं तो जानने वाला कौन है? जानने वाला मेरी चेतना है. माय कॉन्शियसनेस इज नोइंग इट and nothing special that suddenly it will come erupt within you. It's just you have to internally understand that in every thought, every event, every activity, it is my consciousness that is knowing everything. And that consciousness, when I analyze through my vivek, then I understand that that consciousness is infinite, ananta. So consciousness has no limits. So if it has no limits, then it is infinite, and that means it is Ananda Swarupa.
It is
It is of
Brahman.
the nature of it, right? So it is not something that is going to suddenly appear or something become your experience, because I'm repeating again and again, it will never be an experience of something. We always try to objectify. हम हमेशा ना वस्तु की तरह देखना चाहते हैं. We try to objectify things. So very good question. Thank you very much. So we try to objectify every experience or every joy, but this is one joy we have to separate from that objectification. It is the joy that I have to understand as my own self. मेरे अंदर है पहले से. I already have it. I just didn't understand it. Why? Because I think of this functioning through this body and of the size of this body. I think of the consciousness is of the size of this body. But we have seen that I am able to perceive everything even far away from me. So my consciousness is reaching there. That is why only I'm able to perceive it. No, so that is why the consciousness is always all pervading. We have seen through many different ways. कैसे हमने देखा. So the sunlight, it will not illuminate this consciousness. In fact, it is the other way around. Consciousness illumines. मैं चेतन हूं तो मैं जान पाऊंगा कि सूर्य चमक रहा है. I am consciousness, then I can know that the sun is shining. So then my consciousness is illumining. Illumining you can understand as knowing. जान रहा है. So that is this illumination. So same way all your sense organs have their sense objects and they know them. So my ears illuminate sound, illumine sound. My eyes illumine form. My nose illumines smell. My skin illumines touch. And my tongue illumines taste. So all these are the five sense organs. They are giving us different illuminations, different knowledge, and the consciousness behind them is the reason why they are able to perceive. Without consciousness, they will not be able to perceive. So this consciousness is the reason where everything is being perceived, right? So in Vedant, illumines means make known. So consciousness illumines the sunlight. Consciousness makes the sunlight known to you. Okay. So the light illumines the book, but the book does not illumine the light. So therefore, the whatever is not self-luminous, it cannot do any illumine something. So therefore, na chandra tarakam. The moonlight does not illumine the consciousness. It is vice versa. Same way with Vidyut, the stars, the light, flashes of lightning, whatever, however powerful their light will be, they cannot illumine the consciousness. Because when consciousness is not there, they will not be seen. So you need some conscious entity to observe them. So on the other hand, lightning is known because of consciousness. And what about the light or the fire or the flame? So when this powerful sunlight and lightning could not illumine, then what to talk of the flame of fire? Therefore, kutaha ayam agnihi. How can this small agni illumine the consciousness? So Paramatma is the consciousness. That is the reason they chant. This is chanted during what we said, the Deeparadhan mantra. So therefore, he says, how can this miserable flame illumine? So it is,
Sir, I had one doubt.
yes.
Sir, then Vishayanand is like the non-existential only. That it doesn't exist then. Everything is then Brahma Anand only.
Yes, yes. So we think that it exists because of our ignorance. है ना? हमारे ज्ञान के कारण, because of our ignorance, we think that we are enjoying. But even in Vishay Anand, when you analyze, you can see that whenever the object that is being enjoyed, it is how is it being enjoyed? It is being enjoyed because I am there. Huh? So we do a simple. Did this in Tattva Bodh also. That how do we understand this? Everything has its own what we call swabhav property. So like sugar is sweet. मैंने चीनी खाई, मुझे उसकी मिठास मिली. So sugar is sweet. So I can tell. So now, whenever I'm enjoying something, then what is happening? Two things are connecting. What are the two things? Vishay or aham, me and the sense object. So विषय और मैं जब मिल रहे हैं तो वहां पे आनंद मिल रहा है, right? But is that joy always there? Will the same object always give me joy? So if the object is, I get bored of that, or if the object gets damaged or it gets decayed, then I will not enjoy that same object, right? So initially, like when boy and girl get attracted, then they are young, they are attracted to each other physically. As age goes on, the physical attraction turns to a different kind of love, right? So the physical attraction no longer remains. So therefore, now the joy is there, and two things are also there. So by parisheshat nyay, by the law of remainders, if the joy is not with the object, then where is the joy? With me. मेरे में ही है ना joy, right? So therefore, the joy belongs to me. I am putting the joy inside that, right? I am putting the joy inside that object. So therefore, this consciousness is ever the illuminator, never the illumined. We say it is aprameya. Yes, it is not an object for experience. So therefore, Yam Dharmaraja answers, it is never experienced. But all the experiences are possible because of consciousness alone. Right? So you don't feel the consciousness like you are watching some play and on the stage, you don't see the consciousness, you don't hear the consciousness. But if you are watching the show, then you know that the consciousness is there. So therefore, you don't need to prove consciousness. Consciousness proves everything. बिना कॉन्शियसनेस के आप किसी चीज को प्रूव ही नहीं कर सकते. Nothing in the world you can prove without consciousness, right? So therefore, it is ever the prover and never requires to be proved. So like in, if you take a photograph, so you have seen different photographs. So in all the photographs, do you see the camera? You don't see the camera. देखते नहीं हो ना? But still, do you need to prove that? Because the photograph is there, that means the camera was there. So therefore, the proof for the photograph is the camera itself, right? So therefore, I experience because I am a conscious entity. Therefore, Yama Dharmaraja is saying here also, sarvam idam bhantam, tameva bhantam, sarvam idam vibhati. By the consciousness itself, everything else is illumined. So every object is known because of that subject alone. Subject is the knower, main. So that you. So you need not accomplish Ananda. When I say you are Ananda, I mean you are Ananta. When I say you are Ananta, that means you are not limited by your body or thoughts, right? So we can see this in many, many different ways. No, this if we're talking about objects. So if someone has not experience, let's say, a Bengali Rasgulla or original Mysore Pak, then describing in words, it cannot give him the experience. Right? Not being able to tell is not the fault of one who is describing, but the listener. Listener doesn't have the experience. So he has to experience for himself. So even if you tell him no that rasgulla is round like the gulab jamun, or it is sweet as a laddu, or soft like paneer, or white like kalakand. So this all will not help you know the taste. So Brahmanand, it cannot be expressed in words, and it cannot be said that it also cannot be said that it can't be reached. Everyone is experiencing the Brahmanan all the time. And so never is it happening that no one is not experiencing. Only because of our wrong notion, we don't know. It is clouded by the vision of ignorance, right? So the person of discrimination, the Viveki, he grasps this Ananda by the analysis of the deep sleep state. Even in deep sleep state, that Ananda was there, that consciousness is there. I am enjoying, I was happy in the deep sleep states. And while, so he has experienced it in that. Or the yogi has experienced in the state of samadhi. Then only do words indicate to him the nature of Atma. फिर आप शब्दों से समझा सकते. But they have already experienced. But who has not experienced, he will have to have that experience before it can be known. So either you analyze through deep sleep state, or that the consciousness is always there, or conscious. Sorry for the interruption. So because there was some power outage. So now this this joy that we are looking at, this bliss of the form of the self or of the nature of knowledge or consciousness is there. So it cannot become the object of knowledge. So therefore, if it is drishya, if it is seen, then it will be endowed with the faults of the uneternal or the mithya or the dependent. Na? So what is the fault of the drishya? Drishya is jada. Yad drishyam tad jadam, yad jadam tad nashtam. We saw that in the rules also that I have given to you, na? The rules of Vedanta. So there also we saw this thing, right? So let's share. So if you remember the Vedanta rules, then the Vedanta rule says that whatever is an object, whatever is drishya, that will be jadam, that will not be sentient. And whatever is not sentient, yad jadam tat nashtam, that will get destroyed in some point of time, right? So therefore, all the objects of the world are going to be, sorry for the disturbances. Okay, so all the objects of the world are drishya. So therefore, the ananda cannot become an object of knowledge. Lot of darshanas, they don't understand the nature of self-effulgent and they take that bliss as something that can be experienced. They will tell you, you do meditation for so much time, then you will experience the self, or you do japa for so much time and so many crores of japa, then only you will get Atmagyanam, or you do Kundalini Jagaranam. So Kundalini Jagaranam will ultimately take you to that knowledge only. So it will do the job. But you don't think that only through Kundalini Jagaran you can know the self. That self is always known to you, right? What these sadhanas do, they focus. They focus the mind so that you can turn it towards this knowledge, right? So therefore, Upanishad also clearly is saying that this Atma is, this Ananda is self-effulgent of the nature of knowledge and not an object of perception. So everything else is illumined by it or known by it. What is our experience? Our experience normally is that every object is perceived in the presence of a light. बिना light के हम नहीं देख पाते. But light itself is perceived without the presence of whenever a light is there, it is perceived without the presence of any other light, huh? Be it of the sun or the lamp. Any light you can perceive from its own light. Huh? So everything else needs light to be seen, but light doesn't need anything to be seen. So in the same way, we know things by knowledge, but to know that knowledge, nothing else is needed. To know that knowledge, nothing else is needed. Objects are known by the thoughts of the intellect, by what we call the buddhi vritti. All the objects are known by the thought of the intellect. And thoughts are known by the witness principle, the witness consciousness or the sakshi. But that sakshi is known by none, since it itself is of the nature of knowledge. साक्षी को कोई और नहीं जान सकता क्योंकि वो खुद ही ज्ञान स्वरूप है ना. Sakshi cannot be known by anyone else because it is self-illuminating. So, without the self, the sun, etc., also cannot be known. The intellect is also known by self as you know, even the intellect, every time you know, I am knowing the intellect. Like yesterday, I forgot something. Today, I remembered something. So, you are knowing the intellect. The intellect also is the object. The intellect is an object for the Atma, for the Chaitanya. So the one who depends on self for knowledge or bhanam is called one with anubhanam. So it's like the mind depends on the Atma for reflecting the consciousness. Or like if you keep a mirror in front of the sun, then the mirror illumines a room or something else. But that does not mean that the mirror will continue to illumine. The mirror will continue to illumine when the sun is not there. अंधेरे में तो नहीं करेगा. It will not illumine in the darkness, right? So therefore, the mirror will function only when the sun is there. Same way, the consciousness will be there, then only the mind will function. So bliss or ananda is the nature of the self, and anywhere there is joy in the world, it is the reflection of the bliss of the self in the form of superimposition or upadhi. So we think that objects give us joy, but we saw that if we are not there to make them objects of our senses, can they give us joy? No. If we put a tasty item in the mouth of a dead person, will it give him joy? No. So the reality is that I am, and so joy exists. मैं हूं, तो आनंद है. So objects don't have any joy of their own. So when we wrap an object with our desire, पूरा ढक देते हैं उसको. When we wrap an object with our desire, then it becomes capable of reflection of our sensations. And seeing that reflection, we think that objects possess joy. We look at that reflection and we think that it is the object that is possessing the joy. But we don't notice that it is just a reflection of our own joy or bliss. Or I or me here is signifying the witness, the Sakshi Chaitanya, the Atma, Aham, मैं. So as the ego, I am controlled by upadhi. As the ego, as a restricted ego, I am controlled by the upadhi. Upadhi मेरे पे राज करती है ना. Upadhi controls. I am controlled by the superimposition. So I get sorrow. But as Sakshi, I am aware of the nature of this. If I am as Sakshi, then nothing is going to affect me. From its reflections arise all the finite joys of the world. Sakshi के चिदाभास से ही सारे जगत के आनंद आते हैं. Right? So is this clear so far, everyone? Did it clarify all your doubts? Then we'll move on to the next one. Is it clear about this Ananda?
Yes, sir.
Yes? So let's move on to the next. So now we are moving into the next Valli, this second chapter, part 3. This is another very famous shlok from the Gita. Of course, there is a slight variation there. So urdhva mulo avakshakah esho shvat sanatana tadeva shukram tad brahma tadeva amrita muchyate tasmin lokashita sarve tadunatyeti kaschana etad vaitat. Once more. ऊर्ध्वमूलो अवाक्षाखः एषोऽश्वत्थः सनातनः तदेव शुक्रं तद्ब्रह्म तदेवामृतम् उच्यते Tasmin lokashrita sarve tadunateti kaschana etad vaitat. So, urdhva mula avakshakaha. Geeta ji, can you chant? आपने 15 chapter याद किया. Can you chant this one? The first
ठीक
श्लोक
है।
of the.
हाँ हाँ।
हाँ बोलिए.
ऊर्ध्वमूलम् अथ शाखम् अश्वत्थं प्राहुरव्ययम् छन्दांसि यस्य पर्णानि यस्तं वेद स वेदवितः।
Very good. Thank you. So,
Okay.
the slight difference. Urdhva mula, adha shaka. So, here slight, but there also the leaves and all the other are described in the next verse also. No? It is continued there. So, urdhva mula, avak shaka. There it is urdhva mula, adha shaka. Same meaning. Adha and avak, upper and lower. So, in this way, this tree of the world is described here. We are using a simile for a tree, and that this is the Ashwatha Vriksha, that banyan tree. बहुत बड़ा वाला पेड़ होता है, है ना? So a huge tree. So that is described here. So urdhva mula avak shakha. So this tree that we are talking about, urdhva mula. Urdhva means higher. So higher means not just upper, but something that is more subtle. So that is the word using. So having its roots in the subtle realms. Uh, the the lower part is the tree, and the subtle realm represents the root. So mool is the root. And Esha Ashwatha Sanatana. This is the Sanatan people or banyan tree, you can say, which is where tat eva shukram tat brahma. That tree is in itself, that root of that tree, you can say, or the very tree also, that is of the nature of purity. Tadeva shukram. And tat brahma, that is Brahma only. And that is Brahma only. And tadeva amritam uchyate. Tat eva amritam uchyate. So that is also called the immortal. Amritam, never ending, जिसका कभी नाश नहीं होता, जो कभी मरता नहीं. Amritam, that is also called immortal. And tasmin loka shrita sarve. In that rest all the worlds. Tasmin, usme, loka, all the lokas, all the worlds, the upper 7 worlds, the lower 7 worlds, all the 14 lokas, shrita sarve. They are ashrit, they are dependent, they are resting in that. And tadu natyati na kaschana. So tat u atyati na kaschana. No one can transcend that. No one can go beyond that. Ashrita means ashrit, dependent. So etad vaitad, this is that atma that you were asking about. So here this simile of the tree is given. Urdhva mula adha shakaha. So it is a very popular one. It is used in the Gita also. So because in these initial 3 mantras, Yam Dharmaraja will talk about the nature of Brahman or Brahma Surupa. So this is a very important mantra, and based on this mantra alone, we have got this verse in the Gita also. So Krishna Bhagwan has borrowed many verses from Kathopnishad. It is a very, very popular one. Right? We come to know the secret when we are reading this Kathopnishad. So, like the verses in the Gita, na jayate mriyate vaka jate kadachit. So, Gita, 2nd chapter, 28th verse. Or ubhotau na vijanita nayam hanyati na hanyate. The 2nd chapter, 19th verse. And then ascharya vakta kushalosya labdha ascharya gyata kushala so 1 to 7. Then ascharya vat paschati kaschitenam. So, all these are the common thoughts that are present in both the texts, right? So Gita is vaster, but all the knowledge is also there in each and every Upanishad. So even this mantra Bhagwan Krishna has borrowed from here. So this Brahman is going to be presented here as the root of this tree. Brahman is the root of this tree and the very support of this tree. You can say Jagat Adharaha, or you can say Jagat Karanam. It is the cause of everything. So Shankaracharya Bhagwan writes a very, very elaborate commentary on this, how this Ashwatha Vriksha and the universe have got very, very common features. So an example is, considered to be an ideal example. No, because most example will have some shortcomings. Even this one has some shortcomings. But the ideal example will have many common features between the example and the original. So Shankaracharya Bhagwan here wants to show that the Vriksha Drishtant, the example of the tree, it is an ideal example for the samsara because there are several common features. So what are the common features? Shankaracharya Bhagwan mentions a lot of them. Maybe we can, if you will, then we can go to that. But we look at some of the main ones. So if you look at the Bhashyam, just keep looking at, you have this book with the Bhashyam. So if you look at the Bhashyam, then all of these, all these Urdhva Mula Shakha, they are given. So the first common feature is given is Mahatma. Both of them are very vast in size. If you've seen that this banyan tree, so many hanging roots, and even they are going down to the ground. So this Ashwatha Vrish is a very huge tree with a very vast spread. Similarly, the universe is also what we call a Mahan Prapancha, huge universe, whose limits we cannot even imagine. Or we can imagine, but we cannot explore. Right. So then that is the first feature. Then what is the next common feature is Adi Anta Rahitvam. Right. You cannot talk of the beginning of this universe. It is beginningless. And you cannot also talk about the beginning of the tree also. Not this tree, not the one tree. But if you look at the tree, you can say the tree has come out of the seed. Right. So and then again that also came out of another tree. And so on. So and it's cyclic. Everything is cyclic in the universe. So on inquiry, that the seed itself is a product of the previous tree, right? So then you can say the previous tree. So can you say that the previous tree is the beginning? No, there will be other trees before that. And this one also won't end. There will be more trees after that. So ये चलता रहेगा आगे पीछे. So एशो अश्वत्थः सनातन is given there. So therefore, Adi I cannot talk about, Anta I cannot talk about. Similarly, if I talk about creation, I will get into the same problem. Now, how did this universe come into being? Because of our karma. We all have done punya and papam. So because of our punya and papam, the creation has come into being. Bhagwan ne bana ke de diya, jao enjoy karo. He has given this world to us to bear the fruits of our previous actions. So because of the previous creation in which we have done a lot of good and bad action, therefore this creation is because of our punya papam or our karmas. And our karmas came because of the previous creation. How did the previous creation come? Because of the karma before that. So same way, cycle runs in the eternally on both sides, beginningless and endless. So how did all these creations come about? All due to karma. You cannot trace to where it is beginning. Therefore, it is anadi. And how do you say it is anadi? Because there is you cannot say which is the first karma. Always there will be, just like in a dream also. You can never say where the dream started. You can never go back. It will be extending both ways. Similarly, will this creation will be the end? No, this creation also we are not keeping quiet. We are always up to something. कुछ ना कुछ खुजल खुजल चल रहा है हम लोग का. So we are always producing lot of karma, and we are producing more and more punya papa. So which will lead to the next janma or next srishti. So in the next srishti, we don't keep quiet. Therefore, this tree will continue beginninglessly and endlessly. Adi Ananta Rahit Pratvam is the second common feature. Then what is the third common feature? Anirvachaniyam. Anirvachaniyam. So if you have heard earlier, we have used this term. So Anirvachaniyam is used in two senses. One is Maya. Maya is in Anirvachaniyam. Why? Because you cannot say that it is real or unreal. It is real from the standpoint of Brahman and unreal from the point of the world. It has no essence of its own. It is dependent for its existence. And another anirvachaniyam we use for Brahm. Brahm, because he cannot be described in words. वचन से नहीं बता सकते. So it is not, Brahman is not the subject of any kind of words. So therefore, these are the two ways. What about the third kind of anirvachaniyam? The third kind of anirvachaniyam is in the universe. Because you cannot say which is the cause and which is the effect. कौन कारण है, कौन कार्य है, ये आप नहीं कह सकते हैं. So therefore, from the standpoint of the next seed or the next tree, at the same time it is an effect, whereas react to with regard to the previous seed. So that this tree is the effect of the previous seed, but it is the cause of the next seed. So therefore, you cannot say if it is a cause or a just like hen and egg or anything else. That is why we are not able to clearly understand fate and free will also. We can understand fate and free will, but clarity is not there. How much of fate we have controls us, how much free will we have, because they are all both mutually cause and effect. Someday we will do this long lecture on free will. It's a lot of people debate on this. So our Shastra gives the perfect answer for this problem. So therefore, nothing is clearly definable. In Sanskrit, it is called anirvachaniyam. So scientifically also, no, they are trying to understand the universe more and more. It is getting more and more deeper. It becomes more and more vague and loose and inexplicable. Therefore, anirvachaniyam. It is common to the tree, also common to the universe. So this is the third common feature. Then the fourth common feature Shankaracharya has pointed out is there is an invisible root underneath the visible tree. Of course, you dig it up, you can find it, but for now, when the tree is there, the root is not visible. So the tree is visible, and we know the visible tree, and we know that if the tree is visible, there is a root which is nourishing the tree, because of which alone the tree exists. I know the root, I know there is a root, but I cannot see the root. So it is inferred. हम अनुमान से जान लेते हैं, है ना, even without seeing. So just as every tree has got an invisible root underneath, similarly, for this vast universe also, there is an invisible adhara, some basis. Therefore, ashraya or, vishwadharya gagana sadrisham. So there also, Ishwar is never visible to our sense organs. He is indriya agocharaha. Ishwar is beyond the senses. And similarly, the tree is indriya gochar. The root is indriya agochar. So therefore, the root of the world and the root of this tree, they are both hidden from our view. So this is the fourth common feature. Then the fifth one, Shankaracharya Bhagavan points out that both have got branches, both the tree and the tree and the world. So spreading widely, there are branches. For the Ashwatha Vriksha, spreading branches are there. Some of them are upper branches, some of them are middle ones, some of them are lower ones. In the same way, the universe has got several layers. Each branch is a loka. Each branch is a loka. So we have 7 upper lokas, 7 lower lokas. We have got Urdhva loka comparable to the upper branches of the Samsara Vriksha, like Bhulok, Bhuvalok, Suvarlok, Mahalok, Janalok, Tapalok, all of them. Similarly, where we have got the middle branch. The middle branch you can say is Prithvi, Bhulok. Then there are the lower branches. So the Atal, Vital, Sutal, Talatal, Mahatal, Rasatal, Patal, all the 7 lower lokas. So total 14 branches. Therefore, the fifth common feature is Shakhavatvam. There are shakhas, there are branches. Both the tree as well as the world have got separate branches. And then the next common feature is that phalatvam. Any tree will produce fruit, phalam, and a fruit nickling. So that is the ultimate end of the tree contribution. tree contribution. So also there are different kinds of phalams. Some are very sweet, some are very bitter, some are neutral. In the same way, universe also gives us 3 types of phalam: sukham, dukkham, and we call it mishra phalam, neither sweet nor bitter. Right? So both the tree and the world have got phalatvam. Sukha, dukkha, mishra phalani. And then the 7th common feature pointed out is because of the availability of the fruits, many birds will come. They build their nests, and they reside on the branches of the tree. Therefore, the tree becomes the ashraya for the birds, pakshi ashraya, because it produces fruits and it lends itself as support. So there are many birds are dwelling. And Shankaracharya says there are so many noises that they make. He describes all those noises. So, some people can hear that noise and they can understand those noises also. A lot of people have that ability. So, especially in the villages. So this universal tree is the support for all the birds. So what are the birds? Jivatma. The jivas are the different birds. So we are all the different birds who have built our nest. That is the physical body. Our physical body is the nest, stool sharira, on all the 14 branches. So the Pakshi Ashrayatvam is there for the tree. Similarly, the Samsara Vriksha also is the Ashray for the countless birds called Jivatma. Right? So therefore, this is Pakshi Ashrayatvam. Then the eighth feature, so even this Ashwatha Vrish is very big, with a very big trunk, big branches, so tall, and even such a powerful tree, it is moved by powerful winds. So there is Chalanatvam, it moves. By it, the branches vibrate. Similarly, the Sansara Vriksha is also moved or swayed by the wind of Prarabdha Karma. Prarabdha Karma moves this world. Everything moves because of our prarabdha karma. So swayed by the karma, every individual is moving. All the movement is caused by karma. And not only my karma, but also the karma of our surroundings. No, other people's karma also affects us. Right? So thus, if you take the world as a whole, by the samashti karma, the whole world is swayed here and there. So that is chalanatvam. And finally, one more last, the ninth and final one, because he has given us so many more. So Ashwatha Vrish seem to be Anadi and Anand. So the vast Ashwatha Vrish can never be uprooted. But it cannot be uprooted. But it is possible to destroy this tree. It is both जड़ें उसकी गहरी होती है ना, it has very deep roots, it's very difficult, but it can be destroyed by cutting it part by part. So therefore, the same way, this sansar is anadi and anand, but in Gita also, if you in this after this verse, in the third verse, it is said asanga shastrena chinnayam. So asanga shastrena dridena chitva, by the weapon of weapon of sannyas, or the weapon of non-attachment. This tree can be broken. So by giving up my desires, this tree of samsara can be cut down. So even though it looks like it is never ending, but it can be transcended. This tree can be transcended. हम इससे ऊपर उठ सकते हैं. So we'll go a bit more into this verse. Time is up for today. So we'll wind up for now. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purna Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namah. Hari Om.